6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Tracy Young. 13.5 million Americans are unemployed, and 1 in 6 of those, or 2.2 million, are Californians. And join us to discuss legislation that he has authored that will allow the early release from retirement accounts without a penalty is Assemblymember Anthony Portantino, who represents the 44th District. Nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you very much.
First of all, will you speak, just generally speaking, about how concerned you are about the fact that the economy seems to be in recovery? We say that technically we ended recession in June of 2009, but do you think people really feel like life is great and the economy has a robust recovery?
Well, I think people are optimistic, but I think they're also realistic. And, you know, people are still struggling, and it's our job as lawmakers, as policymakers, to try to help further, you know, our recovery and make sure it's lasts longer. And frankly, when I talk to some of the economists, they're concerned that it's not going to be long, and we want to make sure that it is. We want to make sure that we have a full recovery, and I think focusing on jobs, economic opportunity, and how do we help those folks help themselves, I think is what we need to be doing.
So speak for a moment about the long-term unemployed. If somebody's been unemployed for 6 months, we have unemployment insurance. We can help people out. The people that economists seem to be most concerned to me, that when I speak to them about it, it's really the people that are the long-term unemployed. Those people who have exhausted their unemployment benefits, and now they're looking at a rent payment, a mortgage payment, a car payment, whatever it may be. They're saying, where do I go now? And so we say, well, do we do another stimulus plan and go further into debt? Or is there a way we can help people help themselves? We don't want people out on the street.
Well, first of all, that's why community colleges are an important part of that. That's why we have to look at how we make California more competitive. That's why we have to look at, you know, manufacturing and jobs. We have to, it's got to be about jobs. But we also have to see that people have access to their own capital. And we've introduced legislation this year to try to help those folks who have exhausted unemployment benefits to access their own retirement accounts by defraying their penalty. You know, it's one thing to say pay your taxes, it's another thing to put a penalty on top of the early withdrawal of that money.
So somebody's taken their money and tax-free put in a retirement account. The idea is that when you take it out, your income is less, you're at a lower tax rate. But if you take it out early, not only do you have to pay taxes on that money, all right, income tax, personal income taxes, but in addition, if you pull it out early, there's a 2.5% penalty.
Correct.
What would your bill hold?
My bill would say that you wouldn't have to be penalized on your own money. Pay your taxes, and of course, you know, most people agree you should pay your taxes. But for somebody who's been unemployed and exhausted their benefits, I think it's onerous to say we're going to charge you a 2.5% penalty on your own money. And I think the state can absorb that and help these folks stay on their feet, go get a job, and help their family.
And this is not permanent. From what I'm reading of legislation, you're only talking about 2 years. You're talking about taxable income year for 2011 and taxable year 2012.
Right. No, and I think that's the way to go.
So it's getting us over this
getting us over the short-term pain, and hopefully that family, because remember, most people want a job. Most people want to get back on their feet.
Most people don't want to have to go into their retirement account, do they? I mean, that's one of the worst things you can do.
Right, and the government shouldn't be penalizing that person who's trying to put food on their family, on their table.
So tell me where you are with this legislation, how it's been received.
Well, so far it's been received pretty well. I mean, hopefully it gets through the fiscal committee. I mean, typically in Sacramento, the policy committees are doing their job, and good policy is seeing the light of day. There have been some challenges in the fiscal committee because people, you know, are so, I hate to say, freaked out about the big picture.
Potential loss of revenue, is that what they're saying?
Potential loss of revenue, but we're not really having that fundamental economic discussion of what's in the best interest of that workforce, and that's the argument I'm going to continue to make.
Well, we're really not losing taxes because you still have to pay the income taxes.
Right.
Okay, it's just the penalty you don't have to pay.
Just the penalty.
Okay, remind people it's AB 558. You can log on and read the legislation, and thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Charter Local Edition. I'm Tracy Young.